Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the CSGO Clutch Podcast. My name is Adam Cohn. I am your host, joined as always by my co-host, Mr. Dan Welch. Dan, what's going on, buddy?
Oh, not too much, Adam. Had a long day at work. Glad to talk about some Counter Strike.
Absolutely. We're gonna get here into the counter strikes. And Dan, it's playing time.
Adam,
It's
it is
play.
playing time.
It's playing time. So, for those who may be just jumping into Counter Strike DFS now, basically these are the top four teams that won the group stages. The group stage rather. So there were four groups A, B, C, and D. Heroic won Group A, Nip won Group B, Gambit won Group C, and Astralis won Group D. They are now facing each other here in the play-in stage. The winner of these games on Thursday, April 8th, is going to advance straight to the semifinals. The loser is going to advance to the quarters to face either Complexity or Furia. Those are the remaining teams, right, Dan?
Complexity or yes, you are correct.
What a great final six teams, huh?
That it is. I'm quite pleased.
With that being said, here we go. We're going to start off here, as always, folks, with the review of the winning lineup from the previous slate. Dan, kind of straightforward. Won a squared up, took a solo takedown here of $5,000. Captain Art with K. Serrato and Yuri. Blame F, Jame, and Buster. Notice no Yakindar.
No.
So this was
Oh, you
definitely more of a
kinder.
GPP approach. You faded the Yakindar, what I would assume he was chalk. That was 2 games in a row he was bad.
Yeah.
So you took the off chance of not having Yakindar on this lineup that immediately made it different than probably a lot of other Virtus Pro stacks out there. So Jame and Buster, you love to see that. They ran it back with Blame F. Blame F was the only one that had a positive K to D differential, I believe, from Complexity versus VP. Again, it's VP. You kind of expect it, right?
Um. I'm sorry. Expect what?
You kind of expect when you're up against VP. If I were to tell you only one member of that entire team had a positive KD differential, but they won the map, would that surprise you? Knowing how the the powerhouse
No.
that VP is.
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
Right. So I understand the run back. They ran it back with Blame F. Good call. Um, this is a pretty straightforward team, Dan. Anything here you want to break down? I mean, I only played Captain Art the last time he was on the slate.
Yeah. I'm a little annoyed by Yuri because I literally said in the main event Discord that I was never playing him again, and then this happened.
See, that's how good he is. I don't think the roles have changed. I don't think Yuri is a support player. If Yuri is a support player, he might be one of the strongest support players in the game. I'm not on Furia. I'm not the coach. I have no idea what roles these people play. For all we know, Dan, there could be all these players could have different roles per map. Like for example, you could anchor a different site if you like to lurk or play support. It's all different. It's also very round based. But Art's the IGL. He is an aggressive IGL. We talked about the last time he was on the slate. He's boom or bust. Well, I mean, at 40 and 31, it's not an insane stat line, but the bonuses, the 1-1v4 clutch, that's a lot of bonus points, and he had a 4K. So, 116.25 DK points in the captain spot, at 2% owned in the captain spot. 15.8% owned overall. That to me is the difference maker in this lineup.
Yeah, people were confident in G2. I was really surprised by the G2 ownership. I remember saying that I thought it would be split because I thought this would be close, and that's the only reason that I went after G2. I was like, I didn't think that they would be so chalky,
Right. Well, think
but it was
about it. Like
insane.
you and I in the last podcast, and I think you and I was. If you go back and listen to the last podcast, I was very heavy on Furia coming into the podcast. Then the more
You were
you and
that
I
was
talked about it, and we actually went through the breakdown, I went more to the G2 side of things. right? Because that's just doing research. That's talking it out. It's talking about the plays. I ended up from Fury, which is who I wanted to go with. I probably wouldn't have gone 3 Fury, 2 VP because I was betting on Cole. I probably would have gone 3-3. So my lineup would have been different. And Complexity ended up, going 3 maps, but still, they ended up winning. So it's just very interesting lineup construction. Almost kind of sort of straightforward. Faded your Kindar in favor of Buster. And this was Captain Art at 2% owned was the difference. Anything else you want to talk about here?
No, no.
Excellent. Well,
That
congrats
was a
again to One to
bad day.
Square Up. Congrats again to One to Square Up for the $5,000 takedown. What
Amen.
what were you saying, sir, before that? I didn't mean to cut you off.
That was a bad day for
Well,
my lineups. But
sometimes you just have to go with your first instinct.
yeah, I know.
All right,
But we
with that,
really thought that the ownership would be different. I mean, I don't know why it was so crazy.
go figure. I mean, that's something we could always go back and look at another day. You know,
You
it's
know,
not. You know who we're going to be on here, Dan, and this is where I already know you and I are going to have a debate. Where I plan on shredding you to pieces, respectfully, of course. First game on the slate: Ninjas in Pajamas versus Heroic.
no
Dan,
brainer.
Dan, why are you playing Nip on this slate?
It's a no brainer, Adam.
It's a no-brainer. Please enlighten me.
So I'm gonna go with the old. Well, Nip is a good team for one thing. This group has been playing together longer than that group. We're going to get Overpass, which they're very good on, and they're not too bad on Nuke, which I'm assuming Heroic will pick. And literally, I think the new guys on Heroic have played a total of Nuke and Overpass 4 times officially. So that doesn't bode well in my mind. And I believe that most people will gear towards Heroic. So I mean, I could probably there's been so many times where I should have played Nip and I didn't, and I feel like this is going to be one of those where I'm going to look back tomorrow and be like, "Yep, should have played Nip."
If Nip beat Heroic tomorrow and Nip end up being optimal, I'm just going to lose money and I'm okay with it. Do you know why I'm okay with it? Because Heroic are going to sweep Nip 2-0. Heroic are the
No
best plays on the
chance.
slate. All 5 of them, kind of sort of on shush, are the best plays on the entire slate. You build around 2 to 3 Heroic. Quite frankly, I think you should build around 3 Heroic. If you want to go 2 and try maybe 3 Gambit, if you're leaning in that way, or 3 Astralis, that's fine. I don't mind that. I think Gambit Astralis determines the slate. Heroic are locks. Cadian at 8,800 is a lock. He's my core play on this slate. Kessis at
Mm.
7,400 is a phenomenal play. Shush at 8,200 is overpriced, but it's a play whoever you want slate. I don't think that we're going to see high ownership on Shush at all. Stown at 6,600 is insultingly low. It's about $2,000 plus too cheap for him. There's no excuse for him being 6,600, even though he was struggling in the group stage. Refresh, dude, you and I have seen how good Refresh is. Anyone that watched him on Mad Lions knows how good Refresh is. Anyone that even saw him on Copenhagen Flames, I think is where he originally came from before he went to Mad Lions. The kid's talented. He's really talented.
Yeah, he's got a 1.17 rating over the last 3 months. So that's with
He's
the
he's
lower
really,
tier
really
teams.
good. You build around Heroic. Now, to your nip point, I'm not going to completely shred you. In MMEs, or if you're going to be extremely ballsy in a large field GPP with one lineup, and you want to play a couple nip, and you want to fade Heroic, and you want to take the ultimate leverage on this slate, go for it. Know the outcome is probably not high. Heroic have looked dominant. They went 5-0 in their group stage against the likes of Complexity and OG. Yes, Renegades was in there. Fun Plus Phoenix was in there. They didn't exactly beat non-slouches. They're a really good team. I said it when they signed Shush and Refresh. This team is super elite. They have a 5-man roster that's stacked top to bottom. The weakest member on their team is Shush. And that says a lot for how good he was on Mad Lions, how much of a mainstay he was for DFS purposes. Mad Lions is on the slate. Okay, we want Shush and we want Acor. Right? Like, that's how good he is. And he's the 5th best player on Heroic. I should also
Yeah, I
mention,
mean,
he is the support role for Heroic. According to
Trisha.
what Heroic said way back before, Shush supposedly is the support player.
Hmm.
Again, think
Interesting.
about it. Shush is the support player. Just think about that. That's how good this team is.
Yes. Yeah, I follow. I follow what you're saying.
Heroics winning Pro League. Anything else?
Yeah, no, they're not. They're not winning tomorrow. I'm
Listen,
sorry.
l- let the Heroic fanboy over here, enjoy this moment. Heroic have the best matchup. I wouldn't want Heroic facing Gambit. I wouldn't want Heroic facing Astralis.
What does Vegas say about this matchup, Adam?
Vegas says about this matchup, Dan, quite a pinnacle. Heroic are a minus 175 favorite and Nipper a plus 143 underdog. I also like to point out for our next game, Gambit versus Astralis, there is no underdog in this game. Gambit's a minus 105 and Astralis is a minus 115. So,
Yeah, that's interesting.
mm-hmm.
I
Now
don't think
again,
it's that close, though. Do you? I mean,
I
well,
think
I guess we're
Gambit
gonna get there.
Astralis is
But
going to be very, very close.
okay,
I think that's going to be 3 maps of amazing Counter Strike.
I hope so.
For sure. Again, to your point on Nip, if I was playing anybody on Nip, I'm prioritizing Rez and I'm prioritizing Knock and then I'm prioritizing
Thank you.
Plopsky.
Yeah, knock and res for sure. I mean, Hampus is a bit of a gamble, but I've seen him go crazy on overpass.
He can go crazy on pretty much any map. He's the
Yeah, that too.
IGL for Nip, and he's kind of one of those middle of the road IGLs. He's not gonna super frag, but he's not gonna under frag. He's like one of those like right in the middle. So we know he has that ceiling, but his floor is higher than other IGLs like a Golden or a Kerrigan, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree.
So like for me
But
it's
what?
Res 1, Knock 2, and I'm not even confident on that. Plopsky 3, I can make an argument for Plopsky 2 with how good he played in the group stage. And Hampus 4, I'm not playing ZTR. All due respect to him, he's still learning. He's been with this team for what now, a couple of months? He's still getting into Tier 1 Counter-Strike. He's a young kid. There's no need to rush him along. I just for DFS purposes I'm staying away. I still want to see how he does. But for me, I want to stay away from ZTR until we see it. You want to play 5% of him in a mass multi-entry, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, probably won't take much to get over the field. Adam, have you seen ZTR play at all? Like, did you watch any matches? Because I haven't. I didn't know if you
Not
had any.
much. And I'll put it this way, not much.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the one they called up from their Young Ninjas team. So,
Yes.
just like Navi called up Bit, so the teams clearly see potential. Anything else you want to talk about with this game? Or should we get on to the game that we're going to take a while to talk about?
Knock and res. That's it. I just want to. I would probably even play refresh over Hampus as a bring back just because
Ooh.
yeah, I mean
Ooh.
the I think the opportunity cost is good to play a refresh.
I like
So with
that.
yeah,
That immediately makes your lineups unique. A refresh bring back. I like it. It's ballsy. Do it.
I'm going to.
Good, and then send me a head to head for $100, will you? I'm totally
You
kidding.
got it.
I'm totally kidding.
If I had $100, I'd do it.
I think Plopsky's a wild card. We know Plopsky's ceiling.
Yeah, I'm not a big. I mean, he has potential. I'm not a big Plopsky fan.
He's technically the ace of this team.
Right, technically.
Rez, Plopsky just hasn't been right for a while. Like back in the 2020s, we were playing Plopsky first, and then we were debating like, okay, was Plopsky 1, Knock 2, Rez 3, and Rez didn't look good for a while, and then Rez started playing out of his mind, and then Plopsky started tailing off. So it's like you you have to take a look at the gameplay too. So folks out there, if you can have a chance to like watch the game or like watch these games, or if you have a chance to like maybe have it on as like noise in the background, like just for like whatever you're doing, landscaping, or you're hanging out, you're doing whatever. If you can at all just like listen, or listen, better if you watch. The games are fun to watch. When you play DFS CS:GO, you get the inkling of talent. I I'm not telling anyone something that they don't know if they've played CS:GO for a little bit. Zywu 1, Simple 2. But these other guys, if you don't know them that well, like for example, Dan, if you just started playing CS:GO DFS this year, you
Yep.
didn't get to play Shushan Mad Lions.
Nope.
You didn't get to see how good he was. You didn't get to see how he was pretty much the one on that team. And we're talking about him
Mm,
as the fifth on Heroic, as a support role. And I'm not knocking support roles. Love support role players. It's
don't
just for
forget about
DFS
Bubsky.
purposes, they don't typically get high frags because they're more they're flashing their opponents out, they're nading, they're getting the pick, and they're getting traded out by someone else, or you know, ho- however the support player needs to play. Typically, for me, when I think support, it's how can you help out the rest of your team with like a flat with like flashing them in or mauling off a certain position so they can get an angle on another line of sight. For example, on let's just take overpass site B, right? Like support players in there, they got a double flash, they're flashing everyone through monster, and then they're mauling off pit or they're mauling off barrels. That lets everyone else know they don't have to worry about that. They can focus on the fragging, right? As opposed to like if you're a lurker, well, you have four of your players maybe going towards one site, and then you have the lurker off just hanging around trying to get picked somewhere else on the map. Where if you're on the CT side of things and you're anchoring a site, you're that good at that site, you're expected to hold the site down, and you're expected to hold it down, defend it, or wait for the rotates to come in. So many different roles. We know about the Opera role, we know about the IGL role. So now that enough of that Counter Strike is done, I think I've delayed long enough. Dan, are you ready for Gambit versus Astralis?
I am. Let's
All
do
right.
it.
Gambit versus Astralis. Second game here on the slate. Arguably the best matchup of the entire tournament so
Hmm.
far. Dan, talk to me about Gambit and then talk to me about Astralis. Who interests you? Who doesn't? Who you play in? Who do you like?
Um, I am going to probably stick to Gambit. I really like Mr. Shiro and Mr. Hobbit. For multiple reasons. One, because Shiro's really good on overpass, and I think they're going to get overpass. And Hobbit, kind of the same deal. But I think people will flock to device, and maybe Shiro will get less ownership or not have a bring back with a device. I mean, I guess that's a possibility, but then I don't know. I don't really know after that. After Hobbit and Shiro, I don't know because I think I could go. I probably with the rest of my lineup, I pretty much can pick anybody um, from device down. So I haven't figured that one out yet.
How about the Astralis side of things?
I don't have any confidence in Astralis.
Ooh. Ooh! Talk to me more about that.
Um, they're old.
Oh, they're old. Dan,
um,
Dan, they're not old and gray and walking around with a cane.
device can't carry. Okay, he's not.
Oh! What a bold statement! I'm happy I'm sitting down for that one. He can't
Device is
carry?
device has to be set up. I'm not saying Shiro could probably carry either because I think he needs Hobbit, but I just
Oh! Oh, these are hot takes. I feel like I should mute you before like we get canceled or like kicked off YouTube. Oh my gosh, these are such hot takes. Dan, keep explaining. I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
I mean, okay, so I mean, I don't really have. It's kind of a anecdotal statement. There's really not much data to back that up, other than what my opinion is. But I've heard other announcers kind of say that Device is he's a really good opera, but he's more of a team opera. Like he's not the
He's not a
no
Zywo.
Zaiwu.
He's not a simple.
Yeah. So with that being said, for 9,000, Shiro makes more sense at 8,600. Even though I probably could get Device if I wanted. So really, it's so I was being a little hyperbolic, but
Would you stop using these 25-cent words at me?
oh, I've been reading a lot of books
Jeez.
lately. Um, I think it really comes down to the ownership. I think that Device will get more ownership, so I like Shiro.
I would agree with
Um,
that. All right, before we finish up this slate, before I get into my thoughts on Gambit Australis, I wanted to let all you listeners out there know it is Masters Week in PGA golf,
oh yeah,
and the Cut Line podcast by Michael Cavalunas and Zach Manafort. They have you all covered for the Masters. So if you are listening to this before lineups lock tomorrow morning for the Masters, they lock early. Head over to wherever you download your podcast and go listen to the Cut Line podcast and go find out Lunas's brand new website called cutlinegolf.com. He's got his core fours, he's got his tournament model, he has his 19th hole. He's got a bunch of other stuff there. He's got his plays he likes, plays he's fading. He's got a bunch of players he likes. He's got betting odds. Go check them out. Cutlinegolf.com. Hashtag not a sponsor. All right. Gambit Australis for me. I think Device is the second best play on the slate.
mm,
I think this is a spot where, quite frankly, I think Gambit is going. Well, I still think Gambit win 2-1 because you're right. Australis don't look right now. Like they don't look as dominant. For me, I just think this is a Device game. Now, Dan, I'm not saying this is a they go to train and Device drops another bleeping 40 bomb or close to 40. I'm not saying that at all.
oh, if I thought they were playing Train and it was a Gambit pick, I would probably play Device just because then they usually start out on the CT
Well, you
side.
know what, Dan, what we can do? We can head over to hltv.org.
I don't think that they'll. I don't think that Gambit will pick Train.
That's okay. We can head over to
I guess
hltv.org.
anything's possible.
We can head over to matches. We can head over here to event, Pro League, Gambit Australis. We can head over here to the maps. These down here on the map page. Maps with the core, past 3 months, and 3 maps played. Minimum of 3 maps played. Gambit, Permaban's Nuke, Astralis, Permaban's Mirage. Those are out. Gambit loves playing on train. Fun fact: Gambit loves playing Overpass.
Mm-hmm.
They've played train 10 times. Astralis love playing Inferno. So I definitely think we see Inferno.
Mm-hmm.
I think Inferno is the decider. Or it's Astralis' pick. I can see Gambit picking Overpass. I can see Gambit picking Train. If I'm picking, I'd pick Overpass. I'm not playing Gambit on Dust 2. I'd pick Inferno. And then let the decider be Dust 2 or Train or Vertigo. Because for 5 maps that Astralis has played on Vertigo, they have an 80% win percentage. They've only lost once. That says a lot.
I'm sorry. Did you say Vertigo?
I don't know what
I'm
we're going
not
to
sure.
see from these teams. I definitely think Gambit pick Overpass.
Yeah,
But Gambit also likes Train.
that would be interesting. So if, I mean,
There's a
you,
chance we could see Train. Just a chance.
so what you can't. Oh, they're not the first match, are they? Damn it.
No, they're the second match, so we're not going to have these maps before lineups lock.
Yeah, that sucks.
Mm-hmm. But
So yeah, I gotta go back. I gotta go back to my original strategy then, because I mean I can't bank on device being the CT opera on train.
if we
I
get
just
Vertigo, that's a tough map for operas unless your name is Cadian.
yeah.
As you said last week. Um, or the last time we were on the podcast, whenever it was. Um, Vertigo isn't really an opera map. It is a very tight, close corner map. There are a couple spots that operas can get really good on, like you can go B site, you can go A site by ramp, you can go top of boxes. There are a couple of spots, but there are not as many spots as like a train or an overpass or even a mirage or especially like a dust 2. And then it's not exactly like wide open lanes and stuff where operas can get these long lines of sight. But Vertigo isn't like that. Now, Inferno to a point is also kind of sort of the same thing. Not exactly the best map for operas, but there's more spots there. Um, if I had to pick 3 maps, Dan, Overpass, Inferno, and Dust 2.
I like it.
So, alright, with that being said, let's get back to the slate.
Okay.
Um, I really like Device on this slate. He's my second favorite play on the slate. Um, going back to Heroic, there's not much else to be said. You play 5 Heroic. Anyone from Heroic you can play. You can only play 3, but all 5 are in play. Nip I like for MMEs. Device is my second play on the slate. Um, you know who else I really like, and this is more of a gut call than anything, is Dupree. I think even if Astralis lose, I think Device and Dupree are going to have a positive K to D ratio and could be optimal.
Do they have an? Do they negatively correlate? Do you
Device
know?
and Dupree?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Device is the opera. I think Dupree's the entry fragger.
Okay. And I wasn't sure, so I mean,
I'm honestly not too sure. Now,
it could be
mages.
more.
Go ahead.
What's that?
Go ahead.
No, it could be more like regardless of their roles. Just like if device does good, then Dupree, device gets all the kills, so Dupree doesn't get any, and vice versa.
Possible. Now, Magisk, I think, is another wild card on the slate.
Oh, don't do it. Don't do it.
Just saying.
I mean, he is the support player. You know that, right?
Magisk used to be the IGL for this team, too. I mean, I don't know if this team has a quote-unquote support. Um,
It is no. It's majors. I'm dead serious. I heard them talk about which support player they would want in like their all-star team, and
oh,
Magus
you were
was.
watching one of those Prime Sixes?
Mhm.
Nice. I can see that as a support player, but Magisk also can go off. When
Sure.
it comes to these elite players, sometimes I don't factor in role. And we know how good Magisk can be, but he's very up and down. Now,
Mm.
I would like to point out something. And he's the best value play on the slate. Zipix is $5,600. Let that sink in, folks. Zipix is $5,600.
Sank in.
Why is he that cheap?
He's a bad play.
Ooh. I don't think he's a bad play. I don't think he's an optimal play. Um, if you want to take a shot on Glaive, he's my third favorite from this team. Slightly over Magisk. And then Zipix is probably my least favorite on this team, but 5,600 is just too low. Zipix could be chalk. Now, on the Gambit side of things, Hobbit's my favorite play. followed by Shiro and Axile. Nafany, well, he's a good balanced IGL. It's Astralis. It's if you play him, it's in MME formats. Inter is also MME formats or outright fade.
Agreed.
I do not think we see Bubsky substitute in. We haven't seen
No,
it at all through Pro League. He has a questionable tag next to him. Don't do it.
don't do it.
Dan, core, value, GPP. Who you got?
Core, Shiro, value, knock, GPP. So this might be confusing. I was gonna say Cadian, but I'm actually gonna go with Shush.
Shush. Core play for me is Cadian, and like I told you, second core play for me would be Device. He's my second favorite play on the slate. Value play for me, we've already talked about it. Refresh is a value. Stound's a value. Zipix is a value. There's no excuse why he's $5,600. Hampus also a value at 6,000, and Knock at 5,200 if you play in NIP lineups. So those are my value plays. GPP plays: Shush, Shiro, Dupree, Hobbit, Plopsky, Rez.
It's like a whole team.
Kinda. Gotta give the folks where the GPP plays are at. I gotta stop giving more than one though. All right. With that being said,
Oh, we could just name everybody.
as
You'd be
that,
like, look, we called it.
as Al Zeidenfeld says, play all the dudes. All right, Dan. Favorite team stack. You tell me Nip, I end this podcast right now.
It is.
Hey.
It's Nip because I would probably stick to just 2 Gambit. But I'm kind of torn because refresh is only 5,800.
Listen, your refresh run back idea isn't bad. I also want to encourage folks, and you as well, Dan. It's okay to leave a lot of salary on the table.
Yeah, definitely.
If you're MMEing, you can go like from 35,000 to 50,000. Do not cap yourself with like $1,000. Pricing is this is a kind of like a play whoever you want kind of slate. Just go ahead and play whoever you want, but leave. You are allowed to leave a lot of salary on the table. Like if you want to play Nip, they're not expensive. Don't think you have to jam in every other expensive player. It's okay to leave a lot of salary on the table. That also makes your lineups more unique that way. Dan, now that we know your favorite team stack is Nip, give everyone your bold prediction for the slate.
So I'm gonna stick to the I guess like the GPP approach. And that Inters wins 5,000. Just that he's in a lineup, not that he's captain or anything. Just that he's in the flex.
That is bold, sir. That is
Thank you.
very bold. For me, Shush ends up being the third piece you need from a heroic 3 stack to win a GPP. And Shush will be, and I think Shush is going to be low owned, and I think you're going to need Shush to win a GPP with your heroic stack on the slate. My favorite team stack is not surprising. Heroic are my favorite team stack. With that being said, hit that like button, folks. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you all know every time one of these podcasts drop. Leave a comment down below. And like I said, it's Masters Week in PGA Golf DFS and in PGA Golf. If you're playing DFS on DraftKings or FanDuel, check out cutlinegolf.com and the Cutline Podcast by Michael Cavalunas and Zach Manafort. They are a fun podcast to listen to. Dan, for the folks that are still listening, we thank you for listening all the way through. We have a surprise for everyone tomorrow. We're going to have a special guest on the podcast to help us break down the quarterfinals and to review the DFS heater that this person's been on. You're going to have to tune in to tomorrow's podcast to find out who it is.
Can't wait.
For Dan, I'm Adam. You can find Dan on Twitter at Wandelch, Wandelch. You can find me on Twitter at AdamWX21. Good luck on this slate. Latest, peoples.